Jaden Smith as of late broke down on Instagram, and fans are presently stressed that Will Smith has gone excessively far once more and is to be faulted for Jaden's psychological wellness issues. Will Smith and his significant other Jada Pinkett have been under a magnifying glass over their unpredictable nurturing for quite a long time, and bits of hearsay are currently coursing that the couple uncover their youngsters, Jaden and Willow, to some insane stuff at home, and taking into account that he liberated from their family at 16 and wouldn't return even to do family interviews. Definitely Jaden is presently at last focusing on how growing up with Will Smith treated him, and fans are currently worried that will damage his child, and he really wants serious assist with Willing Smith has been continually standing out as truly newsworthy for every one of some unacceptable reasons. And it seems as though this is beginning to influence his children, particularly his child Jaden. Everything began with Jada's exceptionally plugged entrapment with August Alsina, which was trailed by Will's press visit, where he attempted to persuade everybody it's completely commonplace to have different accomplices when you're hitched. It's kinship versus conjugal jail. Gracious. In the meantime, bits of gossip keep on mounting that Will is either gay or sexually unbiased, and fans began conjecturing that the genuine explanation Will slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars is on the grounds that he has a lot of repressed outrage from being in the wardrobe. And on top of all the reports as of late arisen that Will and Jada coordinated wild gay gatherings at their home with young fellows under the misrepresentation of mentorship. They're both sexually unbiased. They do peculiar things in their home, and young fellows have gone out shouting to move away from them in their mentorship tame plants. And presently a considerably seriously upsetting hypothesis about Will Smith is getting out and about online with fans, saying that will damage his child Jaden has been staying under the radar since the Oscar slap occurrence anyway. He as of late took to Instagram to share an odd video of himself crying, which further energized the bits of hearsay that something happened to him while he was all the while residing with Will and Jaden. Now, before we discuss what Jaden uncovered, how about we go over some setting first? Since this isn't the initial time Will Smith has been blamed for something like this, Will and Jada are not by any means the only VIP couple that invest heavily in defying conventional nurturing guidelines anyway. It seems to be their unusual nurturing style has negatively affected their children. And even Will himself recently conceded that he's presumably gone excessively far with dealing with Jaden like a grown-up rather than a kid. See, Will and Jada don't put stock in giving their kids design and discipline. And Will likewise said in one meeting that he and Jada trust in regarding their youngsters the manner in which they would regard some other individual in African American families. The thought emerging from bondage, there's an idea of your kids being property. Will said, adding that he and Jada chose to deliver this with their children. And as per won't he and Jada ever told their children they need to tidy up their rooms, since statement you never advise a developed grown-up to tidy up their room. Now this might sound great in principle. Anyway, kids should be instructed that their activities have results, particularly when you're a VIP and your children currently live in an air pocket without any idea of this present reality. As a matter of fact, Jaden and Willow have both gotten down on their folks for giving them a lot of opportunity and driving them into the spotlight when they were kids. You're not a typical human if on the off chance that you can't go out into the world, you and Daddy never told us truly what kind of world you all came from. No doubt we recently felt that you all grew up out of the ground. Better believe it, better believe it. You understand what I'm talking about. I just have one like truly horrendous experience, which is with my hair. And for all their discussion about allowing their children to communicate their thoughts, it seems to be Will and Jada didn't truly figure out how to interface with their youngsters, sincerely on the grounds that Willow guaranteed Jada would disgrace all her times she attempted to open up during an episode of Jada's Red Casual Conversation. Willow let her mother know when I was more youthful I would get very profound. yet you would take a gander at me. And afterward you would resemble, no doubt you can cry except for do it around there, like go into your room. And do it around there like you driving me away for crying, like I'm a terrible individual for crying Willow likewise uncovered. That at one point she was discouraged to such an extent that she began herself hurting, and saw nothing dim music, and like it was so insane. And I was very much like dove into this like dark opening. And I like definitely, I'm doing insane things truly. When were you trimming yourself? I didn't see that part. Like quite a while in the past, slitting yourself where on my wrist. I mean you couldn't actually see it yet. Like there's still an unexpected surprise there yet. Like completely lost my mental stability briefly there. Wow, Jada, anyway, put this on her childhood and guaranteed that she essentially didn't have the foggiest idea about any better in any event. For yourself, since we as a whole are coming into nurturing with our own experience growing up injuries, and your children will have their weights. And despite the fact that I perceive how it could have harmed you, it's what I knew definitely, yet fans had little compassion. Poor Jetta, and the two of them pummeled her, and Wilfer being avidous, since it appears as though they're continuously pinning their issues on others, as opposed to taking ownership of them, to give you only one model, as opposed to conceding that she shouldn't have told the entire world she had an ensnarement. With her child Jaden's companion, August Alcina Jada shielded her choice to freshen up her grimy clothing in the general population, and guaranteed kids need to have a profound knowledge of grown-up connections. I believe it's significant actually for little girl, too, for your children to have the open door to see their folks, and stand by listening to their folks discuss various phases of life that you go through, darling, you began carrying on very early on, and needed to be liberated at 15, transformed him into a progressive, and in his odd 2015 meeting of GQ. He said me and Willow are researchers, so everything for us is a logical test upon humankind. And, fortunately, we're set in a position where we can influence huge gatherings of people. All at once, Jaden likewise asserted that conventional tutoring has no advantages, and that all youngsters ought to quit going to class school is a device to program the adolescent Jaden, tweeted adding that in the event that everyone on the planet exited school, we would have a more wise society, and after Will slapped Chris Rock at the Oscars, Jaden promptly took to Twitter to say, and that is the way we do it, fans. Anyway, rushed to check Jaden. And they said he's undeniable evidence that giving children an excess of opportunity and dealing with them like grown-ups consistently back purchasers. One fan answered Jaden's tweet, wow, so rough way of behaving is a family characteristic. And someone else added the standardization of viciousness inside the family is normal, and presently on top of this tales are beginning to conjecture that other than giving Jaden a lot of opportunity will